शुरू कर दूं क्या?
Hello everyone, welcome to this session which will discuss things on implementation of new education policy. I am Neeru Kapai, who is going to talk and elaborate this topic for you. I would like to request you all to switch off your audios. At the fag end of the session, if we get some time, some opportunity, I may request you to unmute yourself, but till that time, please keep your audio switched off mode. Another request that at the fag end of the session, you are requested to fill up the feedback form so that we get the correct spellings for your names and we can provide you the certificates accordingly. I would just wait maybe for 2 or 3 minutes to begin with the session, because I'm seeing a lot of people are joining the group. So just give us 1 or 2 minutes more and then we'll start with the session. During or after the session, if you have any queries, you are more than welcome to get in touch with me through my mail ID. You all have email ID of NACRT. Do not hesitate. I'm there to listen to your issues and problems and try my level best to give you some suggestions and tips. You can put your queries on the chat. I'll try and see what best can be done about it. 1 more minute and we start. Okay friends, welcome to this evening's session on implementation of NEP, New Education Policy. Just a point of view to be considered. Somebody has rightly said, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. So very true. Social scenario has changed, content has changed, teaching learning process has changed, and if we as teacher do not change our viewpoint, our methodology, our system of teaching and learning process, I don't think so we'll be doing justice. So the need to accept the change and at the same time keep on refreshing ourselves, keep on changing our methodology also as the time requires. So in today's national education policy, we as teachers always think about the future of the children. Today, if I ask you a question that what is your objective and what exactly would you like your students to be or what is your responsibility, I think common answer comes the overall development of children, or some of the schools claim to write that we prepare our students to face future challenges. My next question to you is, can anybody tell me what is in store in the future for your children? Which professions would you like to recommend the children who are now in 12th standard so that they prepare themselves 10 years hence? I don't think so we can. We all the time keep on thinking about medical, about engineering, about going for IT industry, all these professions. But somebody has written it very beautifully. What is the future going to be like? We as teachers need to be very conscious and very alert about it. Trend analyzers predict that 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 have not been invented yet. Isn't this shocking? And 65% of children in primary schools today will work in jobs that don't exist yet. Question is, then what are we preparing the children in school for? What exactly is our responsibility? What are we keeping in mind where we claim that we are preparing our children for future? Everything is so uncertain about future. Future appears to be so very dark that we need to now think very seriously what and how we can help our students in facing or in going through the future challenges which are going to be very, very demanding and very challenging. Hence, an understanding of NEP becomes very, very essential, because NEP, there's another point which I would like to draw your attention to. Martin Ford, futurist and author, explains the jobs that are most at risk are those which are on some level routine, repetitive and predictable. So what jobs will be secured from robots and automation? The first is jobs that involve genuine creativity, such as being an artist, being a scientist, developing a new business strategy. And the second area is occupations that involve building complex relationships with people. Please note, building complex relationship with people, for example, nurses, or a business role that requires you to build close relationship with clients. And the third area, jobs that are highly unpredictable. For example, if you are a plumber or electrician who is called out to emergencies in different location. This is giving you a very clear idea that skill development or enhancing your skills is going to take you to the top. I wouldn't be surprised or I wouldn't be shocked, I'm ready to share with you, that 10 years hence, I have a feeling that all BMWs will be owned by the plumbers, electricians and the nurses, because they will be in so much of demand that they will be the only groups or the categories who will be able to lead a very, very lavish life. Why? Because they have developed their skill in an area which will be always in demand for rest of the life. Why do you think there was a need of this new education policy? It should have come at least 10 to 15 years ago, but the delay because of uncertainty and neglect in our education field. Qualitative development of education was the need. Enhancement of percentage of literacies was the need. Checking of brain drain, the biggest problem in India, that was the need. Implementation of free and compulsory education. People have been talking about free and compulsory education. Tell me, you all are teachers, we all belong to the same category. How many people are getting free education? And where is the compulsory education? And what do we all mean by compulsory education? Another point, removal of stagnation and wastage in education. And the most important point, modernization of curriculum and improvement of examination system. Please underline this. Please try to understand why modernization of curriculum. Compared to foreign countries, foreign universities, no value to Indian education system. In spite of that, we are proud that Indians, when they go abroad, they do extremely well. The reasons for that are very different. But our entire education curriculum requires modernization and tremendous improvement of examination system. Now, to focus only on this particular statement, it's very important for teachers to understand how these things can be done and how does NEP explain all these points and how much or what all as teachers you are supposed to understand so that you can implement anything during the conversation, or you have done lot of theory of NEP, anything which you understand, you have to be clear in mind that it's important that you implement it. So the first change in my mind, or the important changes which are there in NEP, is a switch from rote memory to experiential learning, hands-on learning. Then inclusivity. Every child must get equal opportunity. Then digital. Advancement of technology. Then giving weightage to multilingual. These are few very, very essential areas which every teacher should understand and try to implement. So let's focus on the key principles of new education policy, which talks about respect for diversity and local context in all curriculum, pedagogy and policy, equity and inclusion. I was just talking to you that inclusion is getting a lot of importance with the new education policy. Actually, it should have been there 20 years ago, and forget about 20 years ago. It should have been the integral part of the education policy right from the day one. Every child has the right to seek education. Every child must get the privilege and equal opportunity to study. We cannot deny a child the basic right of education. So I'm so glad that in new education policy, a lot of importance has been given to inclusive education. We'll talk about it later. Community participation is another. If you are wanting to have a successful project, integration is important. And along with integration, collaboration is important. You cannot do anything single-handedly. If you want the effectiveness of the project. Utility wise, it should be better, it should prove to be practical, it should prove to be very useful for the children. Collaboration is important. Collaboration between the school, the parents and the child. The parents, teacher, student and the school. Without that, nothing can happen, because don't forget, the most important switchover from rote memory to experiential learning and hands-on learning is the key. Mindset of parents need to change, mindset of my students need to change, and along with that it is important for teachers to change their mindset. Because if I make a statement that your report card of 10th and 12th after a few years or maybe from next year onwards, it may be treated only as an Aadhaar card. Don't feel bad. Don't misquote. It will be treated as an Aadhaar card because that will only give others a clear idea that you as a student have passed 10th or 12th. Why? Because the percentage is not going to matter. What is going to matter in your future, in your professional colleges, is your capability, your efficiency, your competency, your attitude, your communication skills. These are your problem solving skills, your analytical skills. These are going to take the top priority, and your percentage will be treated only as an Aadhaar card. Use of technology, you have to accept it. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you have to upgrade yourself as far as the technology is concerned, because technology is moving very fast. Emphasize conceptual understanding rather than rote memory and learning for exams. Hands-on learning, experiential learning, whatever you have learned, how are you going to implement in your day-to-day life, how much you have understood. Earlier, teachers used to enter the class, talk for 35 minutes and give the homework to the children, and that's the end of it. Now, it is not allowed. It cannot be done. You have to give more importance, and you have to rather motivate and encourage students in asking you the questions. Do not deny them. Do not suppress their anxiety. Do not suppress their inquisitiveness. They want to know why of everything, and our teachers so far have not been fulfilling their why. We normally tend to stop, oh, talk to me later, better come back later, now don't disturb my flow, let me explain. No. Inquisitiveness of the child must be taken care of, and you must allow children to ask you questions. Critical thinking and creativity, since the percentage has got no meaning, then any child who does something different, who does something in a very creative or innovative way, and who is little hatke kind, the child will be preferred and the child will be successful. Continuous review based on sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. Since the content has changed from rote memory to experiential, opportunities need to be given to the children to ask questions. You need to satisfy their question. Then the teaching learning process has been changed, because you have to depend on technology. You have to collaborate with technology. Obviously, your assessment system also will undergo change. And assessment system these days is not going to ask you, following are the 15 questions, first 2 questions carry 15 marks, rest this, question number 1, 2 is mandatory, compulsory. No. हमारे पेरेंट्स को भी क्या आदत है, पूरा साल कुछ नहीं, जैसा जैन फेब आता है दे वेक अप, कि अब बच्चे की फाइनल परीक्षा है, अब उसको पढ़ने को लगाएंगे. They are still with that same concept without realizing that in the first 3 or 4 months, their first assessment and the assessment of their projects or their personal development has already been done. Though teachers are finding it very difficult, but if you try to understand this new education policy, if you understand the principles in the national curriculum framework, dear friends, everything has been explained beautifully with examples. You don't have to do anything. For any topic, for any subject, please refer to that. You have ready reckoners there. Now, once you have understood the key principles, we'll try and see one by one, explain to you further. Now, focus on learning outcomes, learning objective and learning outcomes, competencies and subject integration. Major issues. They are encouraging that now your lesson plans will undergo a change. It will not be your usual way of writing your lesson plans. Now a teacher has to think about the topic. Teacher has to think about what are the objectives. If you are going to teach a child about parts of the body, then the objective is by end of the session my students would know different parts of the body depending on the junior classes. The minute you are handling the same topic with the senior classes, the teacher's objective may be and making the students aware with the parts of body, but the outcome will be that by end of the session my students will know functioning of different parts of the body. Difference in what teacher wants the children to know, and difference between how much the children have been able to know, and then you have a smart checkup how much children have understood, which are the areas where they are not clear, so that you can redo the entire. And to do all these things, teachers, you need time, you need planning, you need pushing from your management, you need certain infrastructure for all these kind of things. So you need to be preparing yourself for that. Another important thing which is very interesting and which I really appreciate is that now new education policy will be insisting on competency-based education. We'll be talking about it. You have to develop the scientific temper. You do not have to differentiate between curricular academic subject and non-curricular subjects. So with teaching subjects and with extracurricular activities and science and humanities and curricular activities and sports and mental health, no changes and no bifurcation in that. Emphasis on digital literacy. Wherever you will go, you will be required to pay attention, and promotion of multilingual teachings. These are major issues, major terminologies which are being used in new education policy, and you need to be aware of it. Don't get worried that so much is being explained. Theory wise, it may sound to be a little heavy, but if you try to understand, things are not that difficult. My point of view, that you don't have to fear new education policy at all. Why? I'm putting it in one statement. New education policy, according to me, is nothing but old wine in the new bottle. Your alphabets have not changed, your numbers have not changed, your multiplication and your percentage calculation and your laws of physics and your chemicals combination, chemistry, your parts of the body, nothing has changed. So why are you worried? You only need to focus on the presentation style. Presentation style. Punjab mein Natha Singh, you go to Canada, the same person is known as Natty. What is the change? It's not the person. It is the presentation style, change of costumes, and maybe change of a little change in the communication skills, but person remains the same. So your new education policy is old wine in the new bottle. You all have been doing whatever we have already done in earlier years. You all have been doing it, but under different heads. How interesting is an example? There is a generation gap between you and me. In our times, we were taught Grah Vigyan. Later on, it was named as home science. Actually, I should have given you the Natha Singh example at this juncture. These days, CBSE is focusing on skill development. We have introduced many new skills in our regular curriculum, which is very good, because skill development is the only thing which will make you different from others. Different, you can be more creative, your presentation style can be different, and you have that particular skill. And what makes you different? When you are talking about this home science, wanting to focus on that. Old wine in the new bottle, that home science and Grah Vigyan and all that is now being called as culinary arts. If you open the curriculum, it's nothing except it's the same old story of identification of cereals, identification of different varieties of cooking styles, and identifying different utensils required for the cooking, then the area, and then the fancy accessories which are required. It's nothing else. So please don't get worried at all. Just be alert. Just understand all these major points and rather the terminologies, and try to use them very carefully, need-based, depending on your subject. Reduction in curriculum. That is one thing which CBSE has done. 30%, in certain areas maybe 40%. And why they have done the reduction in curriculum? For the simple reason that teacher must get time to prepare their lesson plans, keeping in mind the learning objectives and learning outcomes, so that they can train the children regarding experiential learning, hands-on learning. Every child is born with some good qualities based on your multiple intelligence. That means every child is good in something or the other. So giving weightage to motivating every student, imagining and assuming that every child has got something good in him or her, we need to try to identify those hidden talents, those capabilities and their area of interest, and give them motivation, plan experiential learning for them, and try to convert our regular lessons into experiential learning by giving projects, by giving them demonstrations. There are ways and means by which you can plan your specific lesson and create situations where students' decision-making skills, students' critical analysis, students are given opportunities to communicate with each other, collaborate with each other, and learn a lot. So these are few major terminologies and the process and the system to give you the support so that you can handle your students accordingly. Now, to be little familiar with what CBSE has done by transforming curricular and pedagogical structure. See, earlier system was 1st to 10th and then 11th and 12th. Now what they have done, they have kept 15 years of schooling, and that 15 years of schooling has been divided in foundational, preparatory, middle and secondary. So in foundational stage, if we think, we go for nursery, KG1, KG2, standard 1 and 2. These 5 years are coming under foundational. Next 3 years are known as preparatory, and another 3 years for middle. That means 6th standard to 8th standard. And then next 4 years of 9th, 10th and 11th, 12th. So they have divided the 15 years into these and made very specific descriptions. Foundational stage, which is 5 years, will have multi-level play activity-based learning. Preparatory stage of 3 years will have play, discovery and activity-based and interactive classroom learning. When you come to middle stage, then experiential learning, because junior children will have no idea about hands-on activities and all. Of course, coloring and pasting and playing with mud and playing with water, that is a different story altogether. Middle stage, 3 years, experiential learning in the science, mathematics, arts, social science and humanities. And secondary, of course, multidisciplinary study, greater critical thinking, flexibility and student choice of subject. Child must understand his area of interest, his potential, his aptitude, and should be able to integrate in different subjects, because this is the time where the child needs to decide about the future. Now shift from rote memory to experiential learning is the major mantra. Every time they keep saying, even the newspaper cover a lot, no rote memory, it's only hands-on activity, experiential learning. Experiential learning takes place when a person involved in an activity looks back and evaluates it, determines what was useful or important to remember, and uses this information to perform another activity. This is further strengthened. We'll show you the slides. See, normally psychologically it has been proved that anything you learn, if it goes through different sense organs, it gets strengthened. If same thing you read on the board, that means your vision has been able to capture that. Same thing you have heard teachers saying it, your auditory skills have been sharpened. Same thing you write or you play around, your kinesthetic skills have been sharpened. So all these things, any new concept or anything gets strengthened if it goes through your various sense organs, which is very, very true. According to experiential learning, try to remember when you started to learn cycling for the first time. Gain a concrete experience when you start riding a bike. And what happens? You fall down. You cry, you get demotivated, you don't want to ride the cycle again, but the parents, brother or the sister, doesn't matter, it happens, everybody falls down, you are not the only one, next time when you go, I'll come with you. They think about it, or reflect about their observation, what happened, what is or what is not working. When I started cycling and I fell down, we need to reflect and think, what worked or what did not work. So observations are, साइकिल टेढ़ा पकड़ा था, ज़्यादा स्पीड में था, पेडल पे पैर नहीं था. These are all reflections. And then abstract conceptualization, how to improve your next ride. So then there is a support system, either your mother, mostly the brother or the father, they motivate and push. Next time you go, I'll come with you. I'll be there. So the parents are there or brother is there to support you in how to ride the bicycle, and it is their moral support which helps. Half the time they hold the bicycle from the back, you have gained confidence, you are not falling down, in between they leave also. So this is the kind of thing which you learn from your previous experience. First day I fell down, second time when I was riding, I was made to understand that my handle should be straight and my cycle should not be on a certain angle. And third step, my parents motivated and we were moving ahead. And keeping in mind your previous experience, you gain confidence and you start riding. Whereas a situation comes कि पेरेंट्स ने खड़े हुए थे आपके साइकिल को पीछे से पकड़ के, साथ साथ में फादर पीछे पीछे आ रहे हैं. At one stage father is not even holding and you are still carrying on with your cycling till the time you turn back and say ki, oh, nobody is doing it. So in experiential learning, the first concrete step, reflection, abstract conceptualization and active experimentations. These are the steps in experiential learning at every stage. I just gave you this small little example because everybody, no, there is nobody who can say कि first day cycle में pedal रखा and they could do it. Everything has to be in different steps. COP's experiential learning model, engaging in the activity, if you connect it back with the cycling activity, what happened when you first rode the bicycle? Reflecting on the activity done, whatever happened, it comes the reflection. What did I experience? Third, conceptualization, where it says, why did that happen? Reason out, think about it, visualize, find out the reasons, and then you are modifying onto those experiences and reasons, and what do I do next? Taking care of all these points, you apply, you rewrite the bicycle and you are successful. A lot of experiential learnings are taking place on the philosophy of this particular model. And another important thing which I feel you need to understand is the difference between learning objectives and learning outcomes. Learning objectives refer to teachers doing and learning outcomes refer to the students. But learning objectives may outline the material the instructor intends to cover in the course. When teachers announce, I'll teach this to you tomorrow. I want you to prepare this particular topic tomorrow, we'll talk about it. So it talks about, it will address known as inputs, the efforts, the planning, input of a teacher. And the learning outcomes focus on what the student needs to know. Because again it depends on the teacher. What is teacher expecting the students to, what changes, or what is the teacher expecting children to know, comprehend and realistically able to do. Skill performance by the end of an assignment, activity and class. A small little example here. When you're teaching small children, that I'll explain to you how to bake a cake. Teacher has given them how to bake a cake and teacher is planning and preparing what is to be taken. So teacher's inputs are going to be objective, made it clear. By end of the session, my students will know the process of baking. They will know what baking is, and they'll know the process of the material and the process of baking. So it will be the raw material brought, shown to them for identification. What will happen, all theoretically, because the learning objective talks about my students would know about the material, about how to make a cake. But if the same thing is being taught to the senior group, the teacher objective will be that outcome will be end of the session, my students will know how to bake a cake. Two different groups and two different objectives and two different outcomes. So you have to be very clear that what is your objective, what kind of a change you want to bring in your students. You need to be preparing accordingly. Your lesson plan, when you are saying they will recognize and they will know, that means it is the theory part. You have to show them the baking powder, maida, eggs, all instruments related to the spatula and the bowl and the oven and the tray. But when it is a matter of my children will know how to bake a cake, then it is from weighing to buttering, keeping the tray ready, mixing, sieving, everything you have to teach them and show them the end product. So you need to be planning what you are going to teach to the students. So switch over from a rote memory to experiential. You have to keep all these points in mind, and during the day don't get mixed up. Don't get worried. It is a terminology which is being repeated again and again. Whether I say experiential learning, whether I say hands-on learning, it is just the same. So please don't get mixed up. Another important part which you need to understand as a teacher is inclusivity, and inclusive education in your new education policy has been given top priority. And this is one topic, one subject which is close to my heart, and I really get very disturbed and irritated when teachers tell or anybody tells that it cannot be done. Everything can be done. Everything is possible. It is only the mindset. Inclusion is a journey, not a destination. It's about the difference you make in the life of every single person on sustainable basis. There are such a wide variety of people who come under this category of inclusion. So it is never ending. There is no destination for inclusion. Please make it very clear. The kind of children who come under this category, they cannot read. You can't decide that after 15 years there will be so and so and that's the end of it. No. Entire life they will be under this umbrella of inclusivity. They need to be treated in a different way. They need to be handled in a different way. And one particular thing, that every child, every human being once born has a right to education. So we as teachers cannot and should not deny this privilege to such children. Such children is now a very vague term because there are far too many varieties. Inclusion is not a program, your UGC, your NEET, your JEE. Inclusion is a mindset. It is the way we treat others and the way they treat us. Inclusion is the opportunity to learn together and from one another. And we do it because it is the right thing to do. That's the end of it, period. It's a program, it keeps on moving, and we all during the process need to learn from each other. And believe me, once you get involved with these children, there is a tremendous sense of satisfaction, there is a tremendous sense of achievement, because you and your contribution and your support has been able to bring smile on somebody else's face, which is worth $1 million. Let our classrooms reflect our vision of equality and justice for all. Equality, every child has the right to education. Please do not deny. There may be a situation where a child cannot have education from the academics point of view, but that doesn't mean that you stop or you don't encourage or you do not help the child at all to learn through different other co-curricular activities. I would be very happy if you can just understand all this, and depending on these 3 lines, change your mindset and start thinking about these children right from this moment onwards. Equitable and inclusive education means all for learners, for all learners, no difference. And the mission is education for all, and the goal is to include all. It's a mindset. Think about it. On what grounds do you decide not to teach such children? ये बहुत मुश्किल है, ये सुनते नहीं हैं, ये मानते नहीं हैं, तो why are you there? You call yourself a teacher, you call yourself a qualified teacher, and I have so many years of experience. What is it all about if you cannot handle? You have to understand the basic concept of education. What kind of a teacher are you? Think about it. You don't have to report to me. Are you the segregation kind? Don't come to me, I'm not for you. Or you say that come, but you do your work and I'll do my work. Don't disturb. Or I welcome you all with open arms. I change to respond to you all. What a wonderful, while reading it gives you such a sense of satisfaction. When you do it, when you start believing it, and when you do it, you do not understand at this moment that you are missing so much in life. Benefits of inclusive education. Children develop a positive understanding of themselves and others. They also feel important. They also feel that they need some attention and they are important. Their families who are under constant depression, frustration, they also start looking towards their children in a positive way. Families' visions of a typical life for their children can come true. That their child is also going to school, their child is also mixing around with other children, learning to eat together, learning to play. How does it matter if they are little droopy and if they are behaving in a little clumsy manner and they don't understand what is important, they cannot communicate well, but they also enjoy the company of friends. Children learn important academic skills, sharing, peer group. All children learn by being together. By being together is the situation, is the most important thing required by this group of children. We talk about equality. People have a different notion of equality. What is required? I'm making your concept little easy. I'm making you understand by all these little pictorial things so that the clarity is there. When we talk about me as a teacher giving equal opportunity to all my students to see the match, Then what does equal opportunity means? To see the match. When will the child be in a position to see the match? When the equality is based on every child's need. Equality by providing equal provisions is not important. Here it is important the equity. Which child requires what type of a support and a help. So it's important for you to understand. Only theoretical talking about all these things is really not required. What is the reality which is happening in our country? Those who want to see something, reality mein, their vision and everything has been blocked. Equity again is important and the right thing to do. Equality at times is not appropriate because you cannot provide single type of a t-shirt to everybody, because the net results will not be what you want. At this place you are wanting every child to see the match, then the equity part here is more important than anything else. Otherwise, go in for liberation, so that where you don't have to put in any efforts, and see to it that all the children are placed at a proper with proper arrangements, that everything is clear to all the children. So friends, inclusivity, inclusive education is something so very important that each and every teacher needs to consider this as part and parcel of their responsibility, and please take care of it. We have spoken about many terminologies. We have covered quite a lot of principles of NEP, switchover, inclusive education, experiential learning. This is one part which is so very important that in coming few years, this is the area which will be given the first priority. Competency is an important skill that is needed to do a job. Important skill is needed to do a job by using knowledge, skill and ability. Competency-based education approach allows students to advance based on their ability to master a skill or competency at their own pace, regardless of environment. This method is tailored to meet different learning abilities and can lead to more efficient student outcomes. In a simple language, competency means it's a different skill depending on your capability, आपकी लियाकत, आपका हुनर किस में है जिसमें आप अच्छा कर सकते हैं. And in education field, it's very clear that if you by chance are a students of standard 6th and you are so good in your English that you can carry on clearing your standard 7th English, and if you clear that, you will be allowed to clear your English of standard 8th. Competency based, how good you are in a subject, you will not be denied. This again is based on your principles of multiple intelligence. जिस एरिया में आप अच्छे हैं, आप आगे चलते जाएंगे. And in certain areas, if you are not so good, then again there is a scope that you will carry on getting a chance to clear that subject of that standard. But the subjects in which you are excellent, you are good, you can do. Nobody will stop you. This has been introduced. It will take maybe a year or two to experiment this. People have started experimenting it in foreign countries. This is a very old thing. We in India are always delayed by 10-15 years for doing anything. So competency-based education is something which is catching and will do extremely well, and it will give a lot of confidence to the students. You can improve or carry on clearing your hurdles in communication English, you can do it in science, you can do it in maths, in any area where you are good. We do hear about it ना कि किसी यूनिवर्सिटी का 12 साल का बच्चा PhD कर लिया और ग्रेजुएशन वाले ने कर लिया. This is all related to competency-based education. Shift to competency-based teaching, learning and assessment. Now the question is, if you know your content has changed, it is reduced, and you are to use certain specific special techniques to present your teaching learning process, and you are supposed to be focusing on and motivating children and encouraging students to develop their decision making skills, creative skills, scientific caliber. All these skills are incorporated in the subjects. You don't have to talk about कि आज मैं creative skills की बात करूँगी, आज मैं decision. No, they are all interrelated. Whenever you are teaching your students, you only have to create different situations at different times so that certain skills का polishing हो जाए and children come forth with better performance. Communication skills can be enhanced by having debates, by having discussions, by having dramatizations, group discussions. So there are umpteen number of tools by which you can create the situation, enhancing the skills and developing the skills. You don't have to go watertight compartments. 4, 5, 5 skills opportunity can be given at one time, and you can always assess them also differently. So shift to competency-based teaching, learning and assessment is putting pressure on why have they said lessening down the curriculum only so that you can promote critical and creative thinking aligned to the 21st century skills. All the skills which I was talking about, critical thinking and creative thinking and analytical thinking, communication, all these skills can be included when you are preparing a lesson plan for any subjects. Shifting traditional assessment to competency focus. See, now once the content is changed, once the teaching learning process has undergone a change, then when the methodology has undergone a change, obviously you will expect a change in the assessment pattern also. So design tools and resources to acquire learning outcomes for experiential learning, and to get a comprehensive view of the children, it is important to reform your assessment pattern also. Then CBSE is talking about integration of subjects. Integration, you can teach maths, you can teach sports. On the contrary, if I say that music can definitely explain the maths, mathematics can be taught through music, your art education and your physical education, along with languages, along with social sciences, along with your science subjects, can definitely be taught in an integrated manner. But you need to understand, try to integrate 2 or 3 subjects, not too many hodgepodge. And please see to it that you do not give more than 2 projects in a year. Otherwise, if every teacher is going to say integrated, that means entire year your time will go in giving children projects on integration. 3 projects on integration by science, 2 by English teacher. Do not create such confusion. Plan out that entire year, not more than 2 projects, important topic which can be taught through integration, because the purpose of integration of studies is children should be able to analyze, think critically and with a very scientific temper. These are few examples when you are teaching your integration, experiential learning, hands-on learning, how you are going to incorporate these things. Just very, very few small examples. You are teaching water cycle to students of class 6. Understand water cycle and the movement of water between earth and atmosphere. Now check whether he is able to understand the following question. You can show this kind of a picture. There are a lot of other teaching aids available with you. So the questions refer to: does precipitation always result in rain? On a hot windy day, how does the water cycle get affected? And how will temperature affect transpiration? You have to give opportunity to the children, keep asking them questions, keep asking them to not to fear to ask questions. Same way, the teachers also must ask questions so that to understand how much the child has been able to comprehend, and if not, they can re-explain the concept to them. It's very interesting. Any class, anybody, according to the comprehension level of the children, you can explain this reversible changes versus irreversible changes. So under the observation category, what we are doing, we are keeping the ice cubes. What is happening to the ice cubes? Let the students observe ice getting converted into the water. On the other side, a paper being burnt. Let children observe. Then again the questioning. What type of change is melting of ice? Let students do the assessment. Let them think differently. Let them give the reasons. What type of a change? Bringing back to the first, irreversible or reversible? To give you the answer, extensive activity. You can further tell them, try melting ice at home, and then you need to be, they have observed ice melting into water. They need to observe ice melting, try melting ice at home. What will happen? It will melt into water, and then can this be reversible? Whether you take it in science subject or you take in any other subject, it is important that these kind of small activities which don't take much time, but these kind of activities require confidence building in the children, so that then they will start being creative, then they will start using their analytical skills, and next time when you are doing any activity, they'll give you better response. Traditional method like curd, asking the children reversible or irreversible. Once the milk is set into the curd, you cannot make it irreversible. I mean, it's irreversible because you cannot convert them into a milk again. Hands-on activities. Activities which can be performed in the class, and certain concepts can be made clear with the students. Now, when I'm discussing and talking about it, a lot of teachers must be thinking, oh my God, kaun karega itna? So much to do. It is only so much to understand. When it comes to doing, CBSE is giving you tremendous amount of support. You go to National Curriculum Framework, there are so many examples, class-wise, subject-wise, with learning objectives and learning outcomes and how it should be prepared, that a teacher like you will feel so blessed. That's why I'm bringing you to this student enrichment activities, which is there by CBSE. They have Aryabhat Ganit Challenge. They have Heritage India Quiz. They have EBSB. I have learned this, Ek Bharat and Shresht Bharat. EBSB stands for Ek Bharat and Shresht Bharat activities. Science Challenge, Science Exhibitions, Khelo India, Expression Series and Reading Challenge. It's my humble personal request to all of you that in whichever area, in whichever subject you are interested, please don't hesitate. Log on to their CBSE websites and download their apps. They have beautiful descriptions, examples, which will help you in preparing your lesson plans for your students. Transforming assessments and tracking students' progress across school years. This actually, come to think of, is only talking about, though there is a suggestion, they have not made it very clear about it. They have sent you intimation that children after 3rd grade, after 5th grade, after 8th, 10th and 12th will be assessed by the board by sending papers from their side. But very doubtful, because so far we have not received anything very concrete about it. But it is again focusing 3 and 5 years of the thing, test core concepts and move away from memorization. You need to be careful. In junior classes, move away from your rote memory, hands-on activity. In senior classes, experiential learning, and their assessment patterns also will undergo change. There's a wonderful survey which has been done by CBSE, and very soon they are going to give you clear-cut instructions about how to assess the students for various subjects and in various areas. That scale, that pattern, very soon, I think, as for my information, by maybe by mid-September, we should be getting a circular from CBSE about assessment pattern. And to your surprise, it's not going to be your 100 marks paper as usual or 90 marks question paper for 3 hours. They are going to come out with different strategies, and they are going to allow you to use different tools also. So digital and technology, all these things will be now given a green signal, and you'll be able to assess your children online for different subjects, which will make your life easier, and we'll be one step ahead preparing the children for future challenges, because you cannot do anything without technology these days. So your proper gelling with technology. I'm not against technology. Okay, if I say that I'm against technology for a little while, that I don't want my students to be dependent on technology, but I want my children to be beautifully excelling and being efficient in that area. So technology, collaboration with technology is a must, which teachers and as parents, we need to support our students. It's very, very essential, and it's very, very important. You have been hearing a lot about active learning. Nothing new. It's only synonym of experiential learning and hands-on activities. So here, active learning is an educational approach that emphasizes student engagement and participation in the learning process. Instead of passively receiving information, students actively work with the material through activities like discussions, problem solving, and hands-on exercises. Students are predominantly active. Group work, case studies, interactive lectures, problem-based learnings, peer teachings, any kind of debates and discussions, all these things are part and parcel of active learning. Some examples of active learning methods are think and pair share, collaborative learning groups, student-led review sessions. You people who are the current generation teachers, I feel very jealous. You are blessed with so many ready-made material available to you that you should not be feeling bad or you should not be hesitant in sharing all these things. You know, in our times, chart paper banana padta tha, handwritten, Xerox bhi nahi tha. But here you have everything ready, served on a platter. Why you are hesitant of not passing on this information to students, I fail to understand. Analysis of reaction to videos. कितने videos, कितना variety of apps. एक वो G-chat मालूम नहीं क्या निकला है. You write a word and you get the ready answers. I don't know what it is, but I have seen, doing that. Such wonderful things available. Analyze case studies, keeping journals or logs, write and produce a newsletter, concept mapping. Everything is readily available on YouTube or any of these apps. You really don't have to be worried, but you have to be worried for one thing. If every teacher is going to depend on these apps and get the information, it will be monotonous. Children will be able to tell you कि मैम ये आपने वो ऐप से लिया है, मैम ये आपने वहाँ से लिया है, because they know what is available. So when you are borrowing material or you are taking tips from some other places, please change the shape, color and the size so that your creativity is seen in that. Your effort is seen in that. नकल करने के लिए भी specific skill is required. So you have to be careful and alert and carry on with your work. Community-based learning, applying academic knowledge and critical thinking skills, collaboration, partnership between the college, school and the community, reflection and assessment leading to deeper understanding of course. Community-based learning is a vast open area. It can be anything from plantation to giving information to the general public, awareness about diseases to general public, going and supporting them and teaching them some skills. So it's a vast thing, but in a collaborative way with a very specific, clear purpose, such projects should be implemented so that it's a win-win situation for both the parties. Teachers and teacher education. Teachers are the backbone of any country, the pillar upon which all aspirations are converted into realities. When you read such kind of statements, only for a minute you feel very happy. And I'm just telling you, don't underestimate yourself. At any time, don't feel dejected, don't feel demoralized. You are not understanding the value of a teacher. I will only say that you people are so important and you people are so powerful that you can either make or break a child. Beyond this, I will not say anything about teachers. So you don't have to feel bad about it. You are very strong, you are capable of thinking. Teachers need to be trained for subject specific. Teachers need to be trained for skill development. Teachers should have a fair idea about how experiential learning projects can be made. So CBSE has made mandatory, teachers will undertake 50 hours of CPD every year driven by their own interest. and you have a long list. Quickly read about it. A new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teachers. It has been formulated and you can refer that. Be in touch with your school heads. CBSE keeps sending you circulars to attend online, offline programs. And the first point which is here, teacher education to include aspects of supporting gifted children. Such a wonderful thing. This again is referring to inclusive education for specially abled children. Friends, I'm happy to share that next Saturday I'm coming back again on a very, very interesting, challenging topic which talks about teacher as a counselor, keeping in view inclusive education. Every single teacher must be aware of inclusive education, different variety of specially able children, how one can handle them, and how you should prepare yourself for that. So those who are interested, those who are happy to learn something about them, you can come back. And ensure that all of you keep upgrading yourself as far as your teaching learning process is concerned, and whatever is available by CBSE or anywhere else, please grab the opportunity to upgrade your skills. NEP aims to support and nurture teachers through all phases of their tenure. Preparation time, recruitment time, they have your CTET. In the classroom, how you need to handle, they have wonderful apps, they have wonderful activity details and professional development. There's not even a single area where CBSE is not there to support the teachers. Encouraging 21st century skills in the classroom, you all are aware. I will not repeat the names because पिछले 2 साल से इन्हीं के नाम सुन रहे हो. By now you must be knowing them by heart. How you have to do it? Not single-handedly, in collaboration. An interesting change in the Bloom's taxonomy, on the basis of which you people always prepare your question papers and assessment pattern. And without taking much time, अगर original term देखो, तो it used to be starting from knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. Now these are all nouns. Actually I should have asked a question afterwards, but then since I don't have the privilege of looking at your faces and admiring you, I'm not waiting for that opportunity. So I'm just telling you this side, original terms, noun based. New terminology after a lot of research is talking about remembering. First the child remembers. Next step after remembering is understanding. Then they try to apply. Then they try to analyze where things are going wrong. They evaluate. And then HOT, hot order questions. When they cross a certain stage after analysis, then they go in for creating things of their own. So new terms are based on verbs, making them move towards efficiency, making them move towards excelling in their experiential learning areas. Slight change, right from bottom till evaluation, till analysis, there is no change in terminology, but top two have been changed. So focus on the new Bloom's taxonomy chart. Now we have spoken a lot about new education policy. We have spoken a lot about what teachers need to do. Teachers need to change their mindset to accept new education policy, and there is no way out. If you don't accept it, you are going to be in trouble. You need to accept it for the simple reason, the minute you accept a problem, you start focusing on finding out the solutions to the problem. So it's better to accept rather than keep on postponing and बाद में करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे, बाद में करेंगे. There is no question of बाद में. It has been implemented. It needs to be taken seriously and try to implement it effectively. Since the teachers need a mindset, same is the case with the parents. Parents are not yet ready, or they have not been able to understand what this new education policy is all about. So we as teachers and we as management need to be changing the mindset of the parents by explaining to them, by making them aware about what new education policy is. Holistic development should be the focus, not academic excellence. Today also parents are still waiting for 3 hours का question. Ma'am ये नहीं किया, ये out of course है. They are not understanding that assessment pattern has undergone a change. Now your child is assessed 3 to 4 times in a year. The need for formal education will always be there, but in a different form. I have been hearing a lot about homeschooling. I believe Pune and Mumbai, this homeschooling system has picked up. Homeschooling doesn't mean that the parents stop sending children to school. Homeschooling means parents owing the responsibility. They need to be taking the responsibility of physical, mental, social development of the child. Giving time to the child. Sense of discrimination, what to do, what not to do, why and how to do. That responsibility also goes on to the parents. Otherwise, this responsibility is on teachers. Life coping skills children need by observing, caring and sharing. And the same thing if they are in the school, campus, it comes back to the teachers. ये नया सिस्टम है कुछ. Spending money, we hear parents saying, पूरे साल का फीस दे दिया, now it is your responsibility. पूरे साल का फीस दे दिया, now बच्चा को संभालना आपकी जिम्मेदारी है. बच्चे को संभालना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, but spending money does not mean that they are doing best for their child. They think money spent is the evidence of their love towards their child. They want returns on their investment in terms of percentage. Please make it very clear. Now, there will be no returns as far as percentage is concerned, but there will be fantastic returns if children perform well and they are trained for different skills and they are motivated and pushed for one kind of a skill subject. Skill subject is something which is going to take them very, very far, and it's very important. It's better if you can read, but I'll quickly read for you. I firmly believe that our children of this generation or the previous generation, they got too much too early in everything. In terms of money, in terms of clothes, in terms of privileges, in terms of exposure to TV, media and all, their exposure is too high. Children should be trained to accept no in the house. It is children's emotional tank which needs to be filled. Emotionally, they are a wreck. It's important for parents to spend time with the children and take care of their emotions and fill their emotional tank by their gentle touch, by having a conversation with an eye contact, by undivided attention. And another request to teachers and to the parents, do not fulfill every demand of your child. Do not give in to your child's tantrum. वो खाना नहीं खा रहा, उसने बैग फेंक दिया, उसको दे दें, उसने ये तोड़ा, ये मांग, nothing doing. You have to put your foot down if your child is being unreasonable. Do not scold, humiliate your child in front of anyone. Physically, mentally, emotional, strong student is the need of the society. Please keep this in mind. Why? Because today's reality of our students, they are under the pressure or they are surrounded by cyberbullying, oversharing, false marketing, dangerous viral trends, roasting, verbal abuse, all sorts of abuse. These are just few, and they all are very scary. So look out, be alert, be conscious what is happening with your child and which group they are into. And if you feel that you have to protect your children from all these things, you need to be extra careful and teach them skills for the future. पहले वाले 10 skills given by WHO, fine, they are related to academics. But for day-to-day life, skill of adaptability, which our children learnt during COVID. Teach them sense of making because they are overexposed to everything through media. Adaptive thinking, computational thinking, problem solving, teamwork, analyzing, logical thinking, proper decision making, news media literacy, cognitive load management. छोटे से प्रेशर में आके 7th floor से कूदना is no remedy, and it doesn't make sense. It only shows that how weak or how emotional wreck you are, to what extent. Constructive way of thinking, skill of accountability and responsibility. Please ensure that you make your students accountable for their bad behavior, responsible for their bad behavior. पापा ने कहा था आज स्कूल नहीं जाना, मम्मी ने बोला था शादी पे जा रहे हैं होमवर्क नहीं करना. This is no, it cannot be accepted anymore. If they are going by giving a medical certificate and attending a wedding, it doesn't make sense. It is not logical, or it doesn't make sense at all. So the child needs to understand what is right, what is wrong, and the child should be made accountable and responsible for his own decisions. NEP 202 is providing the much needed tectonic shift in the pedagogical structure, emphasizing experiential and practical learning that will instill 21st century skills in education. You have no choice, you cannot deny this, you have to accept it with open arms. So that ultimately the aim is that your students ultimately should be happy, and for providing or for making your children happy by teaching and training them with all different type of skills. What kind of a teacher you want to be, or what kind of a teacher I expect you to be, or what kind of a teacher you should try to be, is this. Being a teacher is not easy. You need to have solid foundation of knowledge. You need to have hands which are helping hands, encouraging hands, and cuddling hands. Then you have to have a heart of gold. It's endless description. Musical finger, signature writing some, and firm grip also. Musical finger cannot have a firm grip. And a galaxy of bright ideas. Memory of an elephant. Oh my God. Logic of a computer. Can you in 2 minutes try to read? Every corner you need to have X-ray vision. Try to read. And after this, I dare not say anything to you. I can only request you to be like this. Try to gain experience, try to practice your switching over, try to learn whatever is there in any new education policy, and see what best you can do for your students. Prepare them for future, which according to me is very dark, very uncertain. So keeping in mind your uncertain, dark future, still we as teachers can prepare our children to make them self-reliant, who can face future challenges by instilling in them all variety of skills, so that ultimately they turn out to be a happy human being. Friends, thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm really delighted to have this session with you. You can fill in the feedback form, and you are requested to give us the details, especially your name, proper spellings, so that we can send you your certificate. And any issue, any problem, you can send me the message on my NACRT mail ID. We'll surely help you out. And you can check in the description. I'm sure you will find all the details. But still, if you have any difficulty, problem, get back to us on our NACRT email. Thank you so much. It was pleasure interacting with you. I hope you all are carrying something back home with you. That's great. Enjoy your new learning, try to implement it, and as I mentioned earlier, that I'm back on next Saturday, same time, with a new topic on inclusive education, where teacher as a counselor. It's important and very useful thing for all the teachers to know. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Take care. तो 86 व्यूज इतने लोग कैसे आ गए? अच्छा
बंद हो गया,
चेक करो.
सर हो गया.